Chair recognizes Ms. Luna for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman. OPM recently hired a senior leader who was found to have previous sexual harassment on 2 individuals in his role as Executive Director of Louisiana Housing Corps. Mr. Chairman, I ask for unanimous consent to submit 2 of these articles for the record.
Without objection, to order.
Okay. You know, I hate having to really bring this up because I feel like this should have been handled somewhat how we do it in the military at the lowest level. But unfortunately, because of the fact that some of the policies in place at your organization seem to have failed some of the employees, these people were placed in position of power, which ultimately ended up allowing them to victimize people. So this article and the ones that I submitted actually come after a second Washington Post article released in January 2023 highlighted how a former high-ranking DoD official was hired by OPM in 2021 to serve as the chief financial officer while under investigation by the DoD's Office of the IG for misconduct as well. We should all be concerned about these instances, of which significantly hinder OPM's ability to establish and maintain a trusted workforce as outlined in their vetting guidelines, which is why I would like the chairman to submit these for record, of which he has. And I guess this leads me to my next question for you, ma'am. I'm sure you're aware of the recent situation in which an individual who has previously been investigated for sexual harassment on 2 subordinates was actually hired for a role with OPM's Retirement Services Division. We are also aware that on February 10th of last year, you signed onto a document which outlined the vetting procedures to establish and maintain a trusted workforce. Were these procedures used when hiring this individual in line with guidance that you issued on February 10th, 2022?
Thank you, Congresswoman, for that question. I'd like to say at the outset that I do take these issues and these matters very seriously. I am committed to a workplace that's free from harassment, and we do find these reports alarming, and we are conducting a careful review right now. And because of that, I'm limited in going into the details of these particular matters. What I can tell you is that these were 2 distinct matters that we don't think has indicates any particular flaw in the vetting procedures that we've been administering at a government-wide level.
Just on average, how long do these reports take to close out, though? Because when people, especially in positions of power, whether or not they're placed on leave, there's a certain aspect of, I think, something that you guys owe the victims, because once something like that happens, you're forever changed. How long does it take for these people to get fired? Because in my opinion, if I found this in my office, and I'm sure if you had a subordinate that was making sexual comments to you or racial comments to you, you'd probably fire that individual immediately. But unfortunately, sometimes these people, it seems like they get a slap on the wrist, they're dismissed, and then that's it.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Like I mentioned, these allegations are alarming, and I'm frustrated as well to have to manage this situation, but I do want to emphasize that as a part of my role as an OPM director, I have to ensure that there is a fair and thorough process in place as a part of this review, and to let that take its course. And so it is absolutely frustrating, and I acknowledge that, but that is what I'm required to do in the responsibility of this role.
Are you aware that a senior former Pentagon official now serving as the executive leadership at OPM was subject of a report finding that he had repeatedly sexually harassed women and used racial slurs during his tenure at the Pentagon, and you guys hired him?
Congresswoman, like I mentioned, I'm aware of the allegations, and that's why we're conducting.
I want to specify real quick, though, these were not allegations. This person was found to be doing this, and he was hired. The reason I mentioned that, though, is that to me is not a qualification of someone that we need to be giving a government job to that is potentially in a very senior position that can exploit that position of power.
Well, Congresswoman, let me just say that when these individuals were hired, I was not aware of the circumstances.
Do I have your word that you'll be looking into it and seeing that these people will be handled accordingly?
Absolutely, absolutely.
My final question is how will OPM ensure that other federal agencies do not onboard individuals to be known to have either engaged in sexual harassment or racial comments?
Congressman, just to confirm, you're asking about how we would ensure that across government or
Just
within the
in your
agency?
practices for hiring people.
Well, we continue to do, not just in this particular circumstance, but of course, the learnings and what we will find here, we will make adjustments and changes, but we are continuously reviewing our hiring processes and our vetting processes to determine where changes need to be made. And this particular matter and review will inform that. We have a multi-layered, multifaceted, process in place when it comes to hiring senior officials. And we also have a commitment, like I mentioned, to a workplace free from harassment. And we're committed, as I've mentioned, we have a government-wide role around diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. And we have the same within our organization. We have a DEIA council. We have high scores when it comes to the DEIA FEVS index for the work that we're doing in this area. So you have my commitment to address these issues. You have, and this is a work also of within the agency, again, how we are conducting a thorough review and ensuring that we want to take what we learned from this and where there might be gaps or improvements that we make those changes.
Thank you.
Gentlelady yields back. Chair recognizes Mr. Kassar.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Turn on your notifications so every time I put out a video, you can know about it. It'll come up in your feed. Hit that like button if you liked it. And be positive. Peace.